The newest 3.0 update has few important things that need to be addressed when it comes to wishing, and these are the 5 considerations you don't want to miss out on. But first, a quick word from today's sponsor. This video is sponsored by Divine Arena, which is a multiverse idol RPG that brings gods from all over the world. There's tons of different mythical characters to choose from. The developers are releasing new heroes every month, so you can always go and build different deck of gods and enjoy strategic, real-time battles. Now the game is played in vertical mode, which is always awesome to have one free hand when commuting to work, or if you're like me and you like to be a lazy couch potato, you can just play it when watching some stuff on TV or laptop. Now what's also cool about this game is that it provides free rewards to you every day, even if you don't spend on it and like to remain as a free-to-play player. And currently, there's a ton of rewards that you can get when pre-registering to the game. And you can also use this coupon code to redeem more rewards, so make sure to use my link in the description, which will help support my channel, and check out Divine Arena today. So, if you didn't notice, probably the biggest reveal about 3.0 update regarding the characters is the fact that Tighnari is going to be added to the standard banner in 3.1 update. This is really something that I did not expect to happen. Don't get me wrong, I think this is a really good addition to the standard banner, but at the same time, I also see some problems with it. First of all, you could just skip the featured banner and expect to unlock him sometime later after 3.1 update onwards, since he will then have a chance to show up in any future featured banner as a 50-50 chance. But we're still talking about getting lucky here. You can just look at me as an example. I have obtained every C0 character and most of their weapons, and I still have only a single copy of Kaching. The irony here is that I actually never got her from losing my 50s, and instead I obtained her almost a year ago when she had her own featured banner. Now obviously this is an edge case, but at the same time, if you really want Tighnari, this may be the only chance to get him. See, the thing is, while we don't know if this is confirmed, after he is added to the standard pool, it's very likely he will never have a featured banner again. So in my case, I wouldn't really want to take the chance of hoping he might show up in the next featured banners if I lose my 50-50. And remember, by adding him, there will be 6 standard 5 stars in the pool. So this becomes an even lower chance to pull him. And this is why I think in some way, people who realize this might feel pressure to get him on the featured banner. But honestly, I think it all comes down to whether you actually like him or not. I mean, isn't that the whole point of gacha gaming anyway? And let's say you do pull him from his featured banner. Great, now anytime you lose a 50-50 and obtain his copy, you get more constellations and get to enjoy playing with a new upgrade. Obviously at this point, we still don't know officially how valuable his constellations will be, but I mean, let's be honest. The standard 5 stars are great, but none of them get to see that much playing the Abyss based on the usage statistics, and even as somebody who has made a video recently on Diluc where I talked about how great he is even today, most people still prefer using Hu Tao or Yoimiya over him. Now, I'm not sure whether this is because some believe he's weaker than them, or if it's just more exciting to play a featured banner character, but at the end of the day, Hoyoverse knows what they're doing, so I kind of expect them not to make Tighnari absolutely busted, although it's very likely he will be strong. But the developers wouldn't want you to lose a 50-50 and get a super powerful character like Tighnari, because it wouldn't make sense to them business-wise. They probably think his ears are already fluffy enough to make him stronger than the other 5 stars in the standard pool. But anyway, most of what I have to say about his power level are just speculations at this point, and I will need to test him when he's released. However, it's also important here to remain realistic here and expect Hoyoverse not to add an overly strong character into the standard pool. But since I am talking about his potential, let's just take a look at what we can expect from this fluffy-eared bow user. From what I've seen so far during the 3.0 livestream, I feel like Tighnari will be utilizing the new Quicken reaction. So, Dendro will have 2 new main reactions, which is Quicken and Bloom, but these reactions also have their own sub-reactions. I know this might sound a bit confusing, so let me just quickly give you a super easy explanation about Quicken, since it will be relevant for Tighnari. Now, you cause a Quicken reaction with Dendro and Electro, and you will see these particles around the enemy. This means the target is now affected by Quicken, and it will remain on them for some time, kind of like freeze, which means now if you use Electro attack, it becomes aggravated, or if it's a Dendro attack, then it becomes a spread attack. Either way, both aggravated and spread increases the damage you deal, and we want to focus on spread because I believe Tighnari will be built around this reaction. If he, let's say, shoots his fully charged attack at an enemy who is already quickened, his attack damage will be increased by the spread sub-reaction, kind of like causing a melt or vaporize, but imagine you can do this over and over again until the enemy loses the quicken state. Now Now what's interesting about him is that his fully charged shot deals initial damage, and then 4 more arrows are launched after the initial hit. So I am assuming the first initial hit will always be a spread, which means better damage. While the 4 remaining smaller shots, I'm not sure how many of them will be able to cause spread because of the ICD. But basically, the same thing could be said about his skill and burst, especially the burst. If you're looking at the livestream footage here, he will fire off 6 missile shots from the burst and then 6 more after hitting the target. So the big question is, how many of these shots will be able to take advantage of the spread sub-reaction? Oh, and by the way, regarding his playstyle, the livestream also revealed that after using his skill, his next 3 charge attacks have reduced charging time. So combining everything we know so far, I kind of get this feeling he will be pretty good in quick swap teams, where you can just unload a bunch of skills and burst and keep switching between characters. So in this case, Tighnari will do skill and burst, then unload 3 of his charge shots, and finally just switch to someone else and do the rotation until you come back to him again. Honestly, I think he looks like a really fun unit, but if you're still unsure how Quicken works, then just imagine his playstyle is similar to Melt Ganyu. So imagine him causing powerful melt damage with charge shots, except in this case, you will have an easier time causing spread sub-reactions because of the way Quicken works. Obviously, we don't know how strong the spread damage increase is, but it's not too long before we can find this out. Now, the next character that's coming in 3.0 is Collei. However's basically told us that she's like a student to Tighnari, and so there's a reason why she's also a Dendro bow user, although she does seem to be missing a tail and has no pointy ears. Now, what's cool about her is that you can unlock her for free from the main event in 3.0, which means if all you care about is her, you don't even need to spend Primo Gems. I honestly don't have any strong feelings about her, because with the way developers have treated 4 stars since Inazuma, it's been very clear. They do not want to create powerful 4 stars, and seeing how we're getting her for free, I would set my expectations low for now. Still, she seems kind of interesting. Her skill is just a boomerang that deals damage twice, because you know, that's how boomerangs work, while her burst seems like a field she will deploy, and it will damage enemies with Dendro attacks. Now, I've talked about elemental application before in my videos, so if it turns out her Dendro application is fast and works with standard ICD, this could be a really good way to enable many Dendro reactions, especially if you give her something like the new Deepwood Memories artifact set, which will reduce enemy Dendro resistance by 30%. And if she's in a team with Tighnari, he could instead use another artifact set like Gilded Dreams or Wanderer's Troop. Either way, I'm just happy to see we're getting a Dendro character for free. And yes, I'm aware we're getting Dendro Traveler as well, but it's always more fun when you get free stuff, right? Now, Dori suspiciously looks like Diona if she ever decided to quit her bartending career and become a merchant. Anyway, so her skill isn't really that interesting. Deal damage once, and then 2 additional electro attacks hit, and as we can see from the video, she generates 2 particles, which seems a little too low to me, but that's why we have the burst. So the burst is kind of fascinating to me. She summons her companion Genie, and it will attach itself to the active character, which will heal them and also restore their energy consistently. Also, since there's a connector between the Genie and the lamp, if it comes into contact with the enemy, electro damage will be dealt. Basically, Dori is a support healer that also restores energy, and more importantly, she's a Claymore user, so if her healing or talents scale with max HP, this means it might be the time to dust off those bells that have been sitting in my inventory. Like, I'm not sure how viable it will be, but the passive effect of granting shield becomes kind of valuable if all you really want is a comfy character to run, who now heals, shields, and restores energy, which is ironic because that's almost exactly what Diona can do without the bell. But unlike Diona, Dori is Electro support, and Dendro doesn't have any reactions with Cryo, but it has a lot of reactions with Electro, so she might have some potential there. But in reality, she might also just be better off with Favonia's Greatsword to further help with team's energy, or you know, the upcoming craftable Claymore from Sumeru might be good on her as well. Regardless, I see some good things about her, but I am personally interested to just try using her as a main DPS because just look at her attack animations and tell me you don't want to go and smack enemies around with Genie. So with all of that said, it's time to talk about the 3.0 banners in general. Basically at this point, we saw a lot of new Sumeru characters that were teased. We know that Dendro Archon is coming at some point, and because of the unique situation where you can get Collei for free and Tighnari is added into the standard banner, it can be a logical choice for you to just skip and save up the primos for the next batch of new characters. Like, again, as I said before, it's possible you may never get lucky and obtain Tighnari from losing 50s, and if we assume his featured banner will be the first and only, then it might make sense to go for him. Otherwise, there's also Zhongli in the first phase of the banner. He's fine at this point, super comfortable to use if you're a mobile player, really good for mining ores, and I still use him in a couple of meta teams. So overall, good choice, but you can always just wait for his next rerun and not miss out on too much. Now when it comes to second phase banners, Ganyu and Kokomi are both really popular meta choices, but I would probably hold off from pulling at least until we can see what's coming in the 3.1 update, and since live streams always happen during the second phase banners, you can always gather more information before making the decision to pull. Oh, and of course there's Dory, so she might motivate you to pull if you're interested in her support playstyle. Finally, don't forget that the next few updates including 3.0 will only last 5 weeks instead of the usual 6, so keep this in mind when you're saving up your Primo Gems. But overall, I would say 3.0 banners are kind of just fine in general. The biggest mystery right now is just how good Dendro will be and what are the next upcoming Sumeru characters. Getting a new region also means there will be a lot of ways you can obtain Primo Gems, so it could be the perfect time to just stock up for someone like the Dendro Archon. I personally can't wait to see what teams I'll be able to build with Tighnari, Collei, and Dendro Traveler, and I kind of feel a lot of you will be curious about this as well, and I really hope the 3.0 update will be able to shake up the meta. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. I'd really appreciate it if you could leave a like and subscribe to my channel, because I will be releasing a lot of content for 3.0 update, so your support means everything to me. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you soon.